If you're going on a cruise, you probably have saved and budgeted for it, and the worst thing that you don't want to do is waste money on these avoidable mistakes. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now this video is not going to be about those really subjective things that some people are going to think is a waste of money and other people think, well, that really is worth it. These are really genuinely things that you don't want to pay more for on a cruise and you don't want to waste money. They are 100% avoidable. Now, while these are mistakes that first-time cruisers will often make, after all, it is a first cruise and it is hard to know what to expect, but there are also things that avid or seasoned cruisers can sometimes get caught up with as well. Now, I have a total of 25 mistakes and tips to share with you. And before I get started, I did want to mention two things. Firstly, if there's anything that I did not mention that you can think of, please let me know down in the comments below. And secondly, if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give this video a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get started. Number one, paying full price for specialty dining. Now, if you decide that you want to go to a specialty restaurant during your cruise, don't make the mistake of not booking this ahead of time before your cruise online, because oftentimes you can save about 20% or more. And as well, there are times that you can actually bundle your dining package. So in other words, instead of booking one specialty restaurant, if you think you might go to 2 or 3, look for those bundling specials. Now, last tip, when you do get on the cruise, if you haven't done this, look for day one specials. Now, not every cruise line has this, but if you haven't booked it already, you are still going to find a little discount on the first day. Number two, not putting your phone in airplane mode. Now, this is one of the most costly mistakes that you can make on a cruise, and it is very avoidable. Make sure that you put your phone in airplane mode before sail away. Once you are in international waters, you are going to incur roaming fees. And unfortunately, many people have made this mistake and it has cost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Number three, waiting too long to book flights. And I know I have been guilty of this one. Sometimes I've seen that the cost of a flight is whatever the amount is. It seems too high for me. So I wait, thinking it's going to go down. Something that I've noticed over the last year and a half is that doesn't usually happen, and I've ended up paying more. And when it comes to hotels, you can book it on a refundable rate and then check back later in case it does go down, but you're almost always better booking early rather than late. Number four, not bringing drinks on a cruise ship if you are allowed. Now, many mainstream cruise lines actually allow people to bring a bottle of wine per person over the age of 21, or a bottle of champagne, or even cans of soda. Now, the amount that you're allowed to bring on is limited and you do need to bring it on embarkation day, but this is a pretty good way to save some money. Not bringing your own snacks from home. Now, there definitely is enough food to eat on a cruise ship, but snack foods in particular, things like chips or candy, it is available, but it's going to be for sale and it is not going to be cheap. So it's a good idea if you do like to eat those kind of snacky foods, maybe in your cabin, or maybe you want to bring some prepackaged snacks that you can bring off in the cruise ports of call, then that is something that you're going to want to bring from home. Paying extra for the things that are not included on a cruise. Now, that's not in itself a bad thing, but first, before you do that, research all the things that are included on your cruise. Oftentimes people are paying extra for things that they don't really need to because there are so many activities that are available for free on a cruise. Buying toiletries and over-the-counter medication on a cruise. Now, even think of sunscreen. Bring more sunscreen than you need because chances are on the cruise ship it's going to be double or triple the price of what you'll pay at home. As well, any over-the-counter medication that you can think of that you might use, that means Benadryl, that means Advil, that means cold medication, make sure that you do bring that from home. Not only will it be more expensive on a cruise, but it can be very hard to find. Tipping twice. Now, I don't want you to shortchange any of the hardworking crew members, but you should know when you have already tipped and when you have not. So in particular, what I am talking about is when you get a drink from the bar or you go to the spa and you get a service, so maybe a massage, or maybe you even go and get your hair blow dried. Well, you really do want to look when you are presented with a bill. At the end of that, you're going to see that there is a line for the tip. But before that line for the tip, it is going to say service charge or gratuity that was already added. Typically, it is 18 to 20%. Speaking of the spa, it's a mistake to pay full price for any spa treatment. So book ahead of time. Online, you can often find a discount, and otherwise, you can also book when there are some specials on board. Now, typically, this is going to be on a port day. They may have a special on embarkation day, and they may have a bundle as well. Buying bottled water on a cruise. Now, unless you have a drink package that includes bottled water, which we will talk about in just a couple of minutes, but you want to avoid buying any of the bottled water on a cruise. Now, the reason is because the cruise ship drinking water is completely safe, completely filtered. So what you can do is instead bring a refillable bottle that you could fill up with water to keep hydrated all during the day. And even when you are at the dining room, for instance, the water that you will be given is safe to drink. Buying the drink package or not. So this is the one thing that is very subjective. For some people, buying the drink package is going to be a very good value, and it's going to be a waste of money to not buy the drink package. Keep in mind that on most cruise ships, you're going to find that drinks can cost between $12 and even $17 plus the tip. So if you do have a drink package, even when it does cost $60 or a little bit more per day, it may still be a very good value to get the drink package. However, in other cases, you may not drink that amount. And something to remember is when you buy the drink package, everybody in the cabin needs to buy the drink package, so you do need to make a good calculation for that. By the way, please let me know if you've considered the drink package. If you buy the drink package, is it worth it, and how do you figure that out? Please let me know down in the comments below. Losing or not returning a cruise ship towel. Now, cruise ship towels are going to be free to use on the cruise ship, as well as when you go into the cruise ports of call. However, some cruise lines really keep track of those by having a sign in and sign out system. And if you do not return your towel, you are going to be charged, usually it's $25 per towel for any towel that you do not return. Now, you really want to keep track of that so you don't make this avoidable money wasting mistake. Not checking your onboard account daily. Now, speaking of towels not being returned and being charged onto your onboard account, there are other things that you may find are charged onto your onboard account that shouldn't be. After all, there's always some human error that is possible. Now, most of the time, we find these days that our onboard account is pretty accurate. But in the past, we have found some mistakes, and there are cruisers that still report there are mistakes. Now, in particular, the time that you really want to check your onboard account is a day before the end of your cruise, because by the time you get off your cruise, if there are any mistakes, it is very hard to rectify them, if not impossible, after your cruise. Not having a casino budget. Now, it can be really easy to have a lot of fun in the casino and to go overboard, so to speak. So you know how much you want to spend during a cruise on the casino. Ideally, you win, but if you don't, you want to know when you are ready to walk away. Not having small bills. Now, even though cruises are basically cashless environments, it can be a mistake to not have some small bills with you. Not only will you perhaps want to give a small tip once in a while, maybe to a bartender, you might want to give $1 or $2, or you might want to give a few dollars to the porters, but as well, when you get off in the cruise ports of call, if you are buying some small souvenirs, it's going to be a little bit easier even to bargain if you have some small bills with you. If you take a taxi and you want to pay cash, you want to have exact change. If you want to tip any of the shore excursion guides, etc. Using the ship's ATM. Now, on a cruise ship, if you forgot to bring any cash with you, you can always go to the ship's ATM, but there are pretty big fees. A lot of people say that the cost can be as much as $6 per transaction. Not ordering free room service breakfast when it is an option. Now, many cruise lines, even the ones that do charge for room service, actually have a complimentary continental breakfast that can be delivered to your cabin free of charge. Now, why not take advantage of that breakfast menu, especially when you are getting off the cruise ship on a port day, and free delivery of coffee or tea. Not taking advantage of loyalty perks on a cruise. Now, there are sometimes some perks that are really going to be a very good value. So beyond the free drinks, which I think most people know about, but the things people don't often think about are the free laundry services, so you might get a few items that you're able to send for pressing, free desserts or specialty food items like gelato, and even free professional photographs. Not checking status match programs. Now, if you are already a loyal cruiser to one cruise line, but you have decided maybe to jump ship at least for one cruise, maybe to MSC or maybe to Virgin Voyages, do check out their loyalty status match programs for, in some cases, an extra onboard credit and other benefits. Not getting extra onboard credit. Now, onboard credits are great because they are used like cash when you're on a cruise. Now, how can you get additional onboard credit? Well, sometimes there are going to be promotions with a cruise line, but an easy way is to actually book with a travel agent. Many times, not always, but oftentimes travel agents are going to have special perks, including additional onboard credits that they're able to give you when you book a cruise. Booking shore excursions in every cruise port of call. Now, personally, I am a fan of shore excursions and finding ways to explore in cruise ports of call. But if you do a little bit of research into your different ports, you're going to find that there are some ports that an excursion is just not necessary. There's going to be something to do that is pretty close to the port, or you might even decide that there are some ports where you decide to skip actually exploring and you take advantage of staying on the ship. Now, speaking of cruise ports of call, it's a mistake to not bring some of the items that you could use, especially for the beaches and water activities. Now, what I'm talking about in particular is bring from home your snorkel gear. Don't rent that on the beach. Instead, it's going to cost you probably less to buy it and bring it with you. It's going to be more sanitary and you could use it for every cruise. Now, water shoes is something else as well. You can oftentimes buy it at some of the different excursions, but it's going to cost you double of what it would cost at home or on Amazon. Now, I saved some of the best tips for last because these are really where a lot of money may be left on the table. Not refaring your cruise before final payment. Now, if you booked your cruise, you may have booked it months or even a year in advance, but before you get to your final payment, do a little check and see if the price of your cruise has decreased. And if it has, call up your travel agent or the cruise line and ask to have your cruise refared. Now, most of the time they're able to honor the lower price, but if you don't mention it to them, they're not going to check. Not prepaying gratuities. Now, some people wonder, should I prepay my gratuities? Should I just simply pay them on the cruise? Well, I have one really good reason to prepay them. At a time where the cost of gratuities has been rising a couple of times a year, if you prepay your gratuities, you lock them in at that price. Not looking for special rates when you book your cruise. Now, when you book your cruise, there may be special rates. They can be residency rates, they can be senior discounts, they can be military discounts, or even discounts sometimes for teachers and nurses. So you do really want to check that out with your travel agent or the cruise line. Not setting up a group cruise. Now, this is definitely not a tip for everybody, but if you are going on a cruise where you have several family and friends, you actually don't need that many cabins before it is considered a group cruise. Now, a little known tip is that if you book a certain amount of cabins on your cruise, then you will actually get one person's fare for free. And if you have more than the minimum, you potentially can get two people's cruise fares for free. Not booking your next cruise while you're on this one. Now, not only can you take advantage of some special offers, but the main reason to do this is because you are going to get either an additional onboard credit to use on this cruise or on the next one. So it is like they are giving you free money. And if you're not sure what cruise do I want to take, most of the time you don't really have to worry about that. There is going to be a way to make an open booking and you can still work with your travel agent at home. Now, this one might sound a little bit controversial, but I assure you it's not. Only looking at cheap cruises. Now, I'm not a snob in any way when it comes to cruises, but what you want to do is make sure that you are looking at what is included in your cruise and take a look as well at what perks might be included because they have so much value and you might be spending the money anyway. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Please let me know if you've made any of these money wasting mistakes on a cruise. Please let me know down in the comments below, or even if you have any additional money saving tips, I know that they'll be helpful to others. Now, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye for now and happy cruising.